for the first time tonight.
Put them up. Support group meeting guidelines. Thank you for attending the Racing for Recovery support group meeting. We are focused on maintaining a drug-free and healthy lifestyle. Since 2001, our open forum meetings welcome parents, adolescents, recovering individuals, and anyone who supports our mission. Your suggestions, comments, or ideas are welcome to make our meetings the best they can be. The Racing for Recovery support group meeting is a cutting-edge alternative to what is currently offered. By combining substance abusers, families, friends, and the public at large, we have created an environment that is beneficial to everyone who has been affected by alcohol or drug addiction. Meeting start time is 7 o'clock. Please be on time. Please turn off cell phones or ringers to vibrate. To refrain from posting on social media during the meeting to show respect and courtesy to yourself and others. Please only one person speak at a time. Please speak loudly so that everyone can hear. Proof of attendance is gladly provided. Please turn in your paperwork prior to the meeting so you can pick it up at the end of the meeting. Honesty is required. Feel free to openly share your comments and points of view on how alcohol and drug addiction has impacted your life. This meeting is open to people of all ages and welcomes diversity, so please refrain from using excessive foul language or language that discriminates against any race, gender, religion, ethnicity, sexual orientation, or disability to maintain an atmosphere of respect and dignity for all who are present. If you see a visitor, a new member, or a returning member that you haven't seen in a while, please warmly welcome them into our program. Your confidentiality is important to us, so what you say here will not be discussed outside of the meeting. Please refrain from leaving the meeting while it's in progress because it is disruptive to others. Smoking or vaping should be done away from all entrances out of respect for those who choose not to partake in that. Please do not smoke or vape by the doors. And finally, please dispense of all trash in our garbage cans and do not litter on our premises.
Thanks, Randall.
Thanks, Randall.
We've got the guidelines for living a lifestyle of recovery.
Guidelines for living a lifestyle of recovery. Lifestyle recovery guidelines are intended to be utilized by recovering individuals, their families, and everyone else who is striving to avoid substance abuse and achieve sobriety. Guidelines. Number 1, recognizing that substance abuse ruins lives. Number 2, wanting to pursue positive alternatives to substance abuse such as our education, employment, quality relationships, and health and fitness. 3, using resources such as friends, family, teachers, and peers as a way to achieve and remain sober. Adding sports, art, or music to these resources to help us stay focused and motivated. 4, finding balance and working towards making it a part of our everyday life. 5, building self-esteem and confidence through sobriety to combat negative feelings regarding oneself. 6, understanding that negative behaviors of isolation and self-pity lead to self-destruction. 7, lifting a person up is different than allowing them to continue their destructive lifestyles. Be there for yourself and be patient with your friends and family. Number 8, not a help without supporting the addict's behavior, providing the systems to recover an individual that improve their lives, not further their usage. Number 9, recognizing personal challenges and integrating them into our lifestyles as challenges to triumph over. 10, caring for our personal, emotional, physical, and spiritual individuality as a source we use for our sense of worth. Each person is truly magnificent. Our mission at Racing for Recovery is to prevent all forms of substance abuse, promoting lifestyle, fitness, and health for all those affected by addiction.
Thank you, Jeremy. Here's what Racing for Recovery means to be by Kelly Anderson.
I do. What Racing for Recovery means to me by Kelly Anderson. Respect yourself enough to quit using. Accept the challenges that lie ahead. Commit to your recovery. Include friends and family on your journey. Never doubt your will to succeed. Give yourself credit for your accomplishments. Focus on the positive things you want in life. Overcome your fears and keep moving forward. Remember the reasons you are seeking sobriety. Reach out to others to give and receive support. Expect holes in the road, choose another road. Care for your body, we only get one in this lifetime. Open your heart, mind, emotions, and spirit. Victory comes from a balanced lifestyle. Educate yourself on all aspects of recovery. Racing for Recovery saves lives, and you will learn that with sobriety, anything is possible.
Thanks, Deanna. All right, it's time for introductions. Here's where we go around the room, say your name and why you decided to join us tonight.
My name is Dustin, and I had a great weekend with the family, and I can't think of a better way to start my week except for here at Racing for Recovery.
I'm Andre. I'm here because I want to be, and I want to have a positive week. I'm here to give support and receive support.
Hi everyone, I'm Sammy. This last week was out of town for work, and get to start off the week on a good note.
No, I'm Steve. I'm an alcoholic, and yeah, I come here because I want to be here and need to be here.
I'm Rachel, and I'm here to stay sober and live a happy and healthy life.
I'm Michael, and I'm here for happiness.
I'm Craig, and I'm here to learn.
I'm Pat. I'm here to have a good evening with good friends.
I'm Rob. I'm here for positivity and continue going down the right path.
Brian, I'm here to better myself. I'm Brian. I'm here to learn and listen.
My name's Damien. This is my first meeting. I'm here to get some insight on this program. I'm grateful to be here. Thank you.
I'm Cody. I'm here for my sobriety.
I'm Michael, I'm here to change my life.
Michael, I'm here to be sober and happy.
Gina, I'm here for support.
My name is Tim. I am here to continue learning about myself, and as always, to see all of you beautiful people.
Justin here for growth.
Dylan, I'm here to stay sober.
Dan here to learn.
I'm Scott. I'm here for motivation and support.
My name's Bob. I'm an alcoholic, and I'm here for the support and learning something new.
Doug, here for a different approach. Staying sober.
My name's Christy. I'm here for the sport and trying to stay strong.
I'm Amy, and I'm here for support.
I'm Bobby. I'm here to stay sober and learn.
My name's Dan. I'm here to be the best version of myself.
I'm Kristen, and I'm here tonight to get peer support to help with my anxiety.
I'm David. I'm here because I still need to read.
I'm Deanna. I'm here because I'm accepted here. It's where I can be myself.
I'm Sean. I'm here as part of my recovery from myself daily.
I'm Larry. I'm here because I like the Monday meetings, and I do get to see everybody, all my friends and peers.
I'm Rhea. I'm here to change my life and prove to myself that I can.
I'm Tony. I'm here to remain teachable.
I'm Anna, and I'm here for support.
My name's Debbie. I'm Steven's mom, and I'm here to witness him using his powers for good.
I'm Jerry Stevens' dad. Here to give back to Racing for Recovery for wonderful things that have done for us.
Tom, I'm here to keep growing.
Josh, I'm here for positivity and support.
I'm Tim. I'm here to receive and give support.
I'm Matt. I'm here to learn.
I'm Samantha. I'm here to keep learning.
I'm Patrick, and I'm here because I choose to be and I want to be, and there's some good stuff in this book.
I'm Jeff. I'm here for some hope and inspiration.
I'm Mike. I was tired today. I was just going to go home, but I'm glad I came and good to see everybody.
My name is Nick. I'm here because I would rather be in grass.
I'm Nick. I'm here because I need to be.
Courtney, been real busy with work the last few weeks, so I figured I'd come and recharge.
Josh. I'm here to find and better myself.
I'm Brittany, and I'm here to start the week right.
I am Joe, and since this is an honest program, I did not want to stay for the meeting tonight. I wanted to go home and eat some beans and make tamales.
Glad you're here.
My name is Tiffany, and I'm here to continue to make the right choices and to continue to better myself. I'm Sierra, and I'm here so I don't isolate on the worst day of the year.
I'm Heidi. I'm here to change my life.
I'm Jess. I'm here for motivation.
I'm Dustin. I'm here to find a better lifestyle.
I'm AJ. I'm here for direction.
I'm Brittany. I'm here to keep some balance in my life.
I'm Candace. I'm here to start the week off good and make some balance.
I'm Shane. I heard this was a good program and a good meeting, so I can check it out.
Thanks for coming.
I'm Adam. I'm here to learn from the school book.
And I'm Faye. I'm here to give and get support.
I'm Randy, here to listen and learn.
I'm Megan. I'm here because I love this place and the awesome support that I get from everybody in this room keeps me going.
I'm Shelby. I'm here for the support. I'm Des, and I'm here to learn balance.
My name's John. I'm here to remain humble, to remain teachable.
I'm Levi, and I'm here to keep my sergeant chair.
Scott, I'm here to learn.
I'm Tyler. I'm here to better myself.
I'm Jonathan. I'm here to learn.
I'm Jessica. I'm here to learn and for support from my peers.
David, I'm here to learn because I'm happy.
I'm Kyle. I'm here for the support.
My name is Jeremy. I'm here because sobriety and racing for recovery are part of my personal identity.
My name's Steven. I'm here because life's too good to continue down a destructive path.
And I'm Randall. I'm here because I enjoy this program and I really enjoy reading this book.
And I'm Steven. This program literally saved my life with the hard work I put into it and the great people that helped me along the way. So I'm here to read the book and see what you guys think about it. Who's got the answer by Donald D. Carr?
The answer by Donald D. Carr. Running from the misery, trying to escape the pain. As I approach the light of hope that lies before me, each step overwhelms me, every breath sears my throat. I ache, my body rebels against me, my memories torment me. Agony has become my closest companion. My demons mock me as I dangle helplessly above the abyss of alcohol and drug abuse. The voices all sound the same, criticizing, accusing, blaming me for what has happened. They don't understand, they don't care who I am. I am a human being full of thoughts and feelings. I am worth saving. Just show me the way. At last, I've reached the light of promise. There stands the answer, open arms, understanding smiles, words of trust. And so it begins. Racing for recovery. Oh, my.
That didn't take off like I thought it was going to.
I know.
It's all right. At least you tried it. Thanks, Megs. All right, so announcements. We have a race coming up in October. It is going to be awesome, a 5K, 10K, and a mile walk. It has a new location this year, I'm pretty sure. In Oregon. So a little change of course, but it's going to still be just as awesome. Sign up when you get the chance. Yeah, we have 2 more books up here if anyone needs to borrow any. And if anyone else has anything for announcements, yes.
I just want you to keep Bobby Joe in your thoughts and prayers. Her mother died yesterday morning.
Thank you. Thanks, AJ. One more book. And all right, cool. As you can see from the introductions, remains are for everyone affected by self-destructive behaviors. No topic is off limits. If you have a question or something you'd like to discuss, we encourage you to bring it up early so we have time to discuss it. That being said, we are on page 41 in the time machine. Unless someone's got something they'd like to talk about beforehand. Jeremy? All right, thank you.
In the time machine. After that, I made a conscious effort to bring balance back into my life. I also learned something important, both from the experience and from my professional training as a counselor. When you recover from drug use, you regress emotionally back to the time when you started using. It is though using drugs or alcohol puts your emotions in suspended animation for the entire time that you're an addict. You don't develop emotionally. You don't learn healthy ways of coping with anger, disappointment, and loss. You're stunted. Then when you recover, you find yourself in a time machine that wishes you back to that earlier time, like Marty McFly in Back to the Future. Suddenly you have to find ways to cope with all the options in front of you in a way that's measured and sane, not extreme. You have to deal with the reality that you have fences to mend and people to apologize to, when all you'd rather think about is yourself and what you need. That's why a support group is so important. It pulls you out of yourself and reminds you that you're not the only person in the world who's scared by your addiction, or scarred, excuse me. I started using it when I was in my late teens. So even though I was in my 30s when I quit, I was an adolescent emotionally. We all know how clueless and self-centered that adolescent brain can be. It wasn't capable at the time of seeing just how out of balance I was because in my head, I was still a 19-year-old punk coping with the pain of his mom's suicide. I couldn't see that I'd become obsessed with the things that had helped me pull my life back together, and that I was tearing the life apart all over again. Fast forward 10 years, I've turned it around. My marriage has taken a beating, though my wife and I are doing the best we can. What matters is that I didn't tear my family apart in the process. I'm still a devoted dad. Triathlon has a place in my life, but it's not the only thing in my life. I compete at events and take great pleasure in it, but racing is not the only thing in my life. It's a means to an end, helping other people find the same joy I found.
Thank you, Jeremy. All right, guys. There is always a lot of good stuff in here, but I relate very heavily to this topic we have to talk about tonight, so I want to see if you guys do too. Anyone have anything? Yeah.
I definitely relate to the whole emotions being stunted portion. I know early in sobriety, I mean even now, I'm feeling emotions that I haven't utilized in God knows how long, you know. And also in the part where, let's see, where he realized, after some time has passed, he's still dealing with the same shit, right? That's another thing I can relate to, because stuff that I went through, I watched a lot of the guys that went through it with me, moving on with their lives, progressing with their lives getting better, and things being okay. And I'm like, how the hell are you guys doing this? Well, turns out a lot of them fucking handled their shit. They went to counseling. They started working on themselves. Gave themselves good distractions and such. So that's what I'm trying to do now.
Kristen.
I definitely can relate to this portion. I started using right after I divorced my ex-husband from an abusive marriage, and then my mom died all in the same year. And I started using cocaine, discovered cocaine within that same year, and that's all it took. It took off. I remember standing in my kitchen saying, this is like Prozac to me. Just numbed everything. And now that I'm sober, I'm grieving my mother all over again. And wishing she was here, wondering if we made the right decision as a family for her treatment. And it just kind of, it's yeah. That's all I can relate.
Thanks, Kristen.
I didn't want to say something, so I probably should talk. I wrote my name down here twice and crossed it out, and I wrote it again and I crossed it out. The emotions, that's I don't know why I'm getting so nervous right now. So early in my sobriety, I had my son, I think 4 months in, so there's a real big high, my first kid, The feelings that I felt there are, I can't describe. People who have children probably can relate to that. It's not something I can even put into words. I didn't even know what to say when I first saw him. I was fucking crying. And a couple weeks after that, I lost my grandma. And then 2 weeks after that, I lost my grandfather. So it was like this real emotional high, and then it like bottomed out, and he was the only thing that I was holding on to. Like, I remember when I found out, I was just holding him, like I didn't know what to do, right? Initially, it was like 4 o'clock in the morning, I was getting ready to go to the pool, and it was, so before that, this is the first time I've ever dealt with anything like that in sobriety. Before that, I was regressing to those old habits. I didn't know how to deal with any of that, and it all started when I was young, and it was all the drinking, and like that's how I dealt with grief. That's how I celebrated. That's how I a range of emotions got drowned out by that. So like when all this was happening, dude, I was feeling emotions that I've never felt sober before. And I remember when I found out my grandma died, I'm like, what the fuck, like it was, man, it was crazy. Because of some of the things that I learned from this place, like I'm like stuttering because it was tough. And I went to the pool anyways, I'm like, I'm gonna go surround myself by some people that understand where I'm coming from and that have been through some shit, and I'm doing something positive. I didn't isolate. I went and spent time with people that I care about, and I did something that, for a short period of time, it got my mind away from the grief of losing somebody. And I don't know where the hell I was going with that, but it had something to do with emotion. So
that's good.
But I made it through it. I guess that's the whole point of it. I made it through it sober, and it was early on, and it's weird, like the thought of drinking never came over my mind, like, or even using any drugs or anything like that. I remember the first thing that I thought was like, man, she'd probably hit me if I went out and go drinking right now. Like I didn't want to disrespect her by doing anything like that, or myself. And I had my son to think about, and Jennifer, and like a whole multitude of things going on at once. So it was just like a crazy first 6 months of sobriety, man. It was wild, a roller coaster of emotions, but I made it through it, and those feelings were so real, man. It's choking me up right now, even trying to talk about it. But it was, I don't want to say good, because it was a bad time, but it was good to feel those emotions. I was able to be present at the funeral and like feel the grief and be there for other people, and I don't know where I was going, but it had something to do with emotions. And I pass.
Thanks, Dustin. I relate. Oh, Joe.
Yeah, it's all right. I didn't mean to cut you off. You can go first.
I relate to this heavily. I feel like when I started using, that's when I stopped maturing emotionally, or even thinking about caring about myself. And when I stopped using, I felt like I was going through that same shit over again that even made me start using in the first place. It's the stuff that I just kept brushing under the rug, and the pile got too big, and it was kind of teetering on top of the rug. Like the rug was teetering on top of the pile of shit that I took, and I decided just to clean it all up. And then I was like, oh fuck, it's a lot to deal with right now. But what I'm trying to get to is, the thing I think that started me using in the first place was dealing with death. I was not able to deal with it in the correct manner. Everyone grieves differently, I know that, but I think that's what caused me to start in the first place. And when I got sober, I had to deal with the death of my uncle and my grandma right when I first got sober, and that was like kind of like a proving ground for me to get through that, because that was really tough, and I honestly don't remember a lot of it still because it might be suppressed in my memory just because it was so tough. But the thing I do remember is dealing with the loss of my sister after that. That was really hard. but I got through it as well, like Dustin was saying. And just being able to feel that and support my family and myself is a feeling that I would never, I don't know, it was weird. It was like a bittersweet feeling to be able to take care of myself and take care of my family. And my brother said something about dealing with loss that I'll never forget, and I think it's something I should share with you guys. When you're dealing with something that's really heavy, that really affects you down to the core, you can either get bitter about it, which I did most of my life, or you can get better about it and start rising up. And what I chose that day was to get better, and I haven't stopped. And I think that's the most important thing that we can all do and take away from this. Because we all have it inside of us. We've all dealt with shit. That's kind of what got us here in the first place. I know we're not alone in this. We're all sitting in the same bright green room. You know, there are problems in different ways, but I think we're all able to deal with it in a positive manner. I think that's what we have to do here, to bounce ideas off each other and just talk it out. I mean, that's the point of this support group meeting, is to talk it out. So that's what I'm doing, at least. So anyhow, that's it. Joe, what you got?
I like this a lot, especially because it talks about emotions. I always thought I was, a man's man and men don't cry and all that, shit or whatever. So even in sobriety, I would try to suppress all my emotions because of how I was raised and, my belief system and stuff. But I mean, the brutal truth is that I'm an emotional little bitch, like, I find myself on the verge of crying or crying a lot lately, and that's not something I would ever allow myself to do, especially in front of someone that I truly care about. Like, I don't want to be vulnerable. What the fuck, Who wants that shit? And I'm really proud of myself for allowing myself that vulnerability, because I think shows huge growth and a lot of love for myself that I'm willing to do that now. And this specific sentence in here I like a lot. Says it pulls you out about the support groups, pulls you out of yourself and reminds you that you are not the only person in the world who you scarred by your addiction. And my sister means more to me than most people in this world. I really hurt her and her husband a lot. I allowed some people into our house that stole some things from us that's not replaceable. And also, skipping ahead in this book to page 100, 99 to 100 is my favorite in this entire book, because this helped me, when I was locked up, start to rebuild that relationship. Especially this, phrase right here says, I apologize for what I did to you. I empathize with your feelings, and I want you to know that I never intended to hurt you. And I tried for almost 8 months to write an apology letter to my sister, and I didn't know how to start. And I used this, I fought tooth and nail to get my Racing for Recovery book in jail with me, and endless times I would write a letter to the director, asking permission, and he denied it. He's like, what the fuck is Racing for Recovery? And I was always talking about it, It's like, dude, are you serious? You're pretty lame, you haven't heard of it. Racing for Recovery is the shit. I talk about that in jail like I would Soulcore in here, And it's, if you know me, that's annoying. but once I reread this entire book probably 2 or 3 times in there, and that stuck out to me a lot. So I used that to open the letter with, and my emotions just started flowing out. It was fucking crazy. That was some epic shit that happened there. And I'm just really emotionally fucked. I started using extremely young, about 10 years old, probably younger than that with drinking, that's my family parties, and it's crazy. I'm 31 years old now, and just how childish I am, with my humor and my emotions, and just everything in general. But in all honesty, I love it. I love who I am. I embrace it to the fullest. And, I'm in everyone's face. I don't care. I'll mess with you no matter who you are. And I think that's an amazing quality I have about myself. So I'm not thankful for my usage, but I'm thankful for my maturity level, regardless how small it is.
Well, you're a little guy, so it's okay. Thanks, Joe. AJ?
Yeah, I just kept it short earlier because, honestly, this is kind of a hard subject. but it's probably why not a lot of us are raising our hands here. I'm pretty sure, I know for me, that's one of the biggest reasons I started using, because the emotions that I did feel at the time. And like I was saying earlier, newly sober, even now, newly sober, I was a fucking mess, emotionally. Thank God for music. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But now, I do a more critical thinking about how I feel. It's not easy to deal with insecurities, pain, anxiety, stuff like that. All the painful feelings, all the bad, negative feelings, those are the ones you don't want to feel. Those are the ones you want to be numb to, for me at least, that's what it was. Like Dustin, I also, when I was feeling good, yeah, that's another time I'd use, but just because at that point, like I said, critically thinking about how I'm feeling these days shows me my own shortcomings, and shows me, it actually gives me direction on where I need to go with working on myself. And the more I do that, the better I start to feel. So, I'm with that.
Thanks, AJ.
I was thinking after I spoke, and then Steven spoke, I was thinking, so that, going through all that, what I mentioned, and then like the loss, like that's it's a roller coaster, right? And going through those lows, like grieving and going through all those feelings, like I made it through that and I didn't use, right? So that's a win. Looking back on it, it's like, look, I made it through all that hardship and all that shit without using. So, a month or two later, when my boss is being an asshole, or you have a bad day, it's like, well, I made it through, a bad week or whatever it was without using. Like, it was more like emotional exercise, like, it made me feel that much better about myself. Like, well, shit, dude, if I got through that and I didn't have to use or I didn't have to drink, like, what's gonna stop me? You know what I mean? Like, that's, if me personally, like, those are literally like the two highest and lows of my life. Like, losing somebody and gaining, I gained a person and I lost two people, but, I don't know, it just came to me afterwards, like, like, what kind of excuse can I use after making it through something like that? Like, what kind of, I don't know, I just feel like, it gave me, I don't know, maybe a sense of confidence, like, oh shit, like I was already like 6 months in or whatever at the time, but it was like, I can do this. Like, that was like, for me, it was like a test, like the way I looked at it afterwards, because like, at the time I wasn't thinking about it, but after the fact, it was like, fuck, what can stop me now, I guess. I don't know where all the hell I was going after that, but that's just what I was thinking. Sean?
Sean?
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting topic. Where it says you don't develop emotionally, you don't learn healthy ways of coping with anger, disappointment, and loss, you're stunted. I being an only child and not having a mom and dad in my life when I was younger, and running the streets at 14, drinking OE and stealing radios and out of cars, I did not know how to deal with anger, emotions, nothing. I didn't have parents to guide me through that, right? So later in life, when I started using, that was to deal with those emotions, right? But for me, it was an excuse to get high, to drink. Every time I lost a friend or anything, I had to know I'm gonna go get high. I can't deal with it. Today, I still don't know how to do those things yet. Now I'm dealing with situations with my anger, sober. That's fucking hard, because now I'm, 46 years old, and never knew how to do any of these things since I was a kid. How am I supposed to expect to learn that shit overnight or in the next 5 years? It just takes work. And with people that I've hurt in my past, that they, we talk about, you have to, reality, the fences have to be men and the people who apologize to. I've said that before. I always try to apologize, saying I'm sorry. And they look at me real funny, okay, well, we'll see. I hear that all the time. Then I mess it up again. And then I took a suggestion from a good friend. And he sat down, he said, when you go make these amends with these people, you're going to write this shit out on an index card, okay? You're going to put exactly what part you played and what terrible person you were, father, whatever, son, whatever it was. And you're going to sit them down and you're going to read this card to them. And at the end of it, you're going to say, now how can I make it up to you? And shut your mouth and let them bash you. Because when I did it that way, I looked at it two ways. If they didn't want to forgive me, I'd done my part. Okay? I can live with that. God will have to deal with that with them. That's not my place anymore. I clean my street. That's all I can do. Okay? If they want to forgive me for it, they do. But I'm not going to beat myself up because I want to feel better, because I want them to give me some pity and say, okay, it's okay now, blah, blah, blah. The people that I owed money to, I would say, okay, how can I make it up to you? Well, just keep doing what you're doing. Well, what about the money I owe you? Don't worry about it. That money was blood money that I stole from them. So now I got to try to take that money and I give it to a church. I got to give it to somebody because it only makes it right, And that's hard to do because a lot of us, wouldn't say we would do that. But I had to start taking that suggestion and doing that shit because that makes me feel better about myself and then knowing that I'm not doing shady shit no more, So when I started taking suggestions from people that have done this and got families back and stuff, my family's gone, but other than Deanna. But my thing is that those amends now to those people that are in heaven, I have to stay sober. It's the only way I can make that amend with them. Okay? But yeah, it's a good time. It's just dealing with shit we've done. I know a lot of us, because I've been there too. We expect people, we don't want them bashing us. We don't want them telling us, hey, quit pounding me, quit, I don't like the tough love shit, I won't get through this, I need some positive talk. Bullshit. We need to be fucking pounded because we did some bad shit to these people. Our families, our friends, our co-workers, whoever it was, we did terrible shit to them. So we can't expect to get a pat on the back. So if they don't talk to us for 5 years, who gives a shit? We cleaned our street and we made that amend. That's all that matters. If we're really working on ourselves, that's how I look at it. I can't change their mind, but most of those amends that I did by doing that card thing, I'm telling you right now, they worked out. They worked out in a better way than they did with me trying to say my shit. Because, I had somebody kind of go through that and say, no, don't say that, because I know if Sean would have said that shit, oh boy, and you would have gave me a reaction, I would say, oh, fuck it, we're done. No, you don't even apologize, I'm not apologizing, and I would have got up. So today it's a better day, but yeah, I like this topic, thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Candace.
I'm not really going to say on the emotion thing, but what I got out of that is he only said like a piece of, like his priority was the Ironmans. For me, if I solely focused on work, that didn't work for me. If I solely focused on, excuse me, if I solely focused on just recovery, then that wouldn't work out for me either. So balancing all those things and doing other activities and making more of the, I guess, piece of the pie worked for me as opposed to just solely focusing on one thing, because then I wouldn't have any other outlets to go to. So when I took all those and combined them together, it made more of a reach out to different aspects where you can kind of connect to people or different things that you can do just solely focusing on one thing.
Bob.
Yeah, you mentioned that roller coaster. I am riding that emotional roller coaster. It doesn't seem to have a stop. It's continuous. I have always kept my emotions in, kept them to myself, and I would drink to kill that or to stop that roller coaster. And I'm down here to learn ways to deal with these emotions. Things that have happened to me that I never thought would happen. And I'm at a breaking point, you know, what do I do? You know, I know not to drink because that's not going to solve anything. I wake up the next morning and the same shit's there. So I am here to learn everything and anything possible and take all suggestions that come my way and try and work through this. That's it.
I think that was a great first step too. Yeah. That was awesome. Thank you. Rhea?
I will say, as far as emotions, I've always been an emotional person. I'm not gonna say a crybaby, but I mean I cry at Lion King. But coming up, I can say that I've always found an excuse to do whatever it was that I wanted to do. Of course, you don't want to feel angry and I don't want to feel sad, so that would be like my go-to. I can remember like something happening and I'm like, okay, I'm going to the liquor store, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and just have my little pity party because that's what I was going to do because that was my excuse to do it. Whether I was happy or sad, it's easier, of course, dealing with the happier emotions sober. But as far as like when I'm sad, I've given myself permission or the okay, like it's okay for me to be sad sometimes. It's okay for me to be mad, and I give myself that time to kind of like deal with it, think about it, vent, whatever I'm going to do. But what is becoming more helpful to me is not staying there. You understand what I'm saying? Like, okay, all right, whatever, if it's a day or a couple hours, whatever's going on, okay, that's how I feel, that I know why I feel that way or whatever. Like, I can't allow myself to just sit there and let that pop through. Because for me, that leads to destruction. And it was frustrating to me and irritating because feeling all of these things, and I thought I was going crazy because I didn't like that, because I was so used to running away from my problems or running to something or someone to numb whatever was going on, instead of just, okay, it happened, I don't like it, deal with it, and try to move on. And it started off, and it gets hard, and certain things are easier than others, but the more I practice this, the easier it gets. Just yesterday, I ran into something that normally would have had me, it would have hurt my feet. I mean, it did hurt, but I'm okay, you know what I mean? Like, I'm okay. I'm looking at, I guess, the brighter side. You know, I was like, dang, you know, what, it was a message that was sent to me. What I read was like, dang, you know, that's messed up that you feel that way about me. Maybe 8 or 9 months ago, I would have been trying to find something, or you know what I mean? I would have went out maybe to use because it was hurt. And I read it, I vented a little bit about it, and I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, I let it go. I let it go because it's okay. I can deal with it. It's okay for me to be mad and upset. I'm not gonna stay there. It's a part of life. And it's gonna happen. And I can't allow emotions to dictate what I do. You know what I mean? Like, especially in a negative way.
Thanks, Rhea. Randall.
I think we all, I don't know, I was watching this video I watch a lot of videos of like positive things, and I don't know. I was listening to this one thing today, and it was saying like, oh, the decisions you make in life, that's like where you're at today. That's how you're where you're at, you know. And I was thinking about my life and the decisions I made, you know, and that's why I'm here today. You know, I made the decision to use drugs to not feel emotions, to not feel whatever emotion I was feeling at that time, whether that was anger, all the numerous emotions. By making that decision, I've also made a decision to not find proper ways to cope with emotions. I made that decision in that one other decision I made. So now doing this in my daily life, like dealing with emotion, it's difficult. It's difficult to deal with emotions on an everyday basis, whether it's the numerous ones we feel every day, but me making a decision to try to find a way out and try to find ways to cope with these emotions is a hell of a lot better than what I was doing. And, you know, drugs made me feel like I was like living life. That short period, like I felt I was living life at that moment. That was the best feeling I've ever felt, you know. And now it's like, this is what truly living life is. And there's so many good emotions to feel without self-destructing. And you know, it's a constant, I feel like emotions are a constant battle in everyday life and how to properly handle them. But when you do it consistently every day, it gets better, and you find an easier way out every time. And you know, it's always trying to find different techniques of ways to cope with them. And it, you know, it took me a while to figure that out. You know, I'm still figuring that out today, like how to cope with my emotions in a positive way, instead of getting angry or throwing a fit, or my ego gets in play and I think I'm always right. Like, that's a constant battle. So just to make the decision, like I like what Rhea said, like, oh, I can find a way out. Like I don't have to sit in that situation. I can do something to find a way out of it. So that's all I gotta say.
Thanks, Randall. Megs.
So I like the part where it says about having to like mend relationships that you've messed up. So with my parents and stuff, like it's really difficult because like I know with them, they want the best for me, hope for the best, but kind of like prepare for me to like fuck up at some point. So like when it comes back to like taking back responsibility over my child and things like that, they're really hesitant about it, and it sucks. But like today, like I'm learning like to like set boundaries with them. Like when I go into a conversation, I know what I want to say rather than being intimidated by them, because today I finally have a leg to stand on. And I try not to use emotion because usually it comes out in anger or just really like not nice stuff comes out. And it's just because I'm frustrated and I let that emotion take over, and then I act out in ways that I shouldn't. But like, I agree completely with what Rhea said and with what Randall said, that I can't stay stuck in that. Like today, I have options that like I can like finally, like I said, like stick up for myself and like prove to them that like I'm doing the right thing. And if they don't go with it, then there's other routes that I can take. But like, I know it comes along with rebuilding that relationship, but it's just not there yet. and that sucks. But like, I can't stay like upset about that all day long. Like, I mean, I'll be upset about that for a long time probably. But like, you know, I accept it. But yeah, I'm learning like in certain situations when you're trying to rebuild things, you have to set boundaries with people, because if not, they will put you back in a shit place because they are not over what you've done to them. And,
yeah.
Actually, well, I was like flipping through the book and it says, why are you in recovery? I don't know why. I guess, so I think this is like the whole reason I'm in recovery. It's like, grow up, start doing the right thing. I really kind of started playing around, smoking weed and drinking when I was like 14. I didn't become a full-fledged addict until I was like 24. I mean, granted, I'm 40 now, so that's a lot of years of using, you know, bits and pieces in there, few years, whatever, being sober, and then, you know, and I think really it all stems from just not having healthy ways of dealing with what happened to me, the stuff I put myself through. And I say put myself through because, you know, even though things were done to me, I was running the streets and put myself in certain situations and things like that. And you know, I don't say that it's my fault, but, you know, at the end of the day, I put myself in places that I shouldn't have. So, you know, I think I've done more growing in the past 7 months here than I've done in any bit of therapy, recovery, anything. I have been able to see myself, you know, see my bullshit and what needs to be worked on. I'm able to call myself on my bullshit today. And I think a lot of it was, you know, like Raina was talking about ego. Like before, I didn't want to see my shit for exactly what it was, you know, like I wanted to think I was right all the time. I wanted to think that this was okay, you know, I didn't need to work on it. And, you know, there's a lot of things about me that I definitely need to work on. And, you know, coming here, I was able to take a break from the distractions of life so that I could work on it, because I never gave myself that break. You know, even though I'd be in recovery, I'd be doing something else or have something else going on. And I really gave myself a break this time, and I was able to look at some stuff. And, you know, while I'm still working on a lot of that stuff, I'm very far from perfect. And I mean, I'll never be perfect, but I think the biggest thing is that I really do see shit for what it is now, good and bad, and I'm able to just look at stuff, face it, and like I'm solution oriented today. Like I'm like, okay, what's the solution? Like I think about, Todd said something before about like, you know, repeatedly, you know, talking about it, complaining about it. Like, that's not getting you anywhere. What the F are you going to do about it? Like, how are we going to get past this, you know? Or, like, if I, you know, I deal with a lot of stressors and stuff like that. I have, you know, some issues with anxiety and all that stuff, and I don't get panic attacks anymore. You know, I was getting them really bad, and they'd last for like 2 hours, couldn't breathe. I haven't had one in months, and things are getting easier, they're getting more natural, and I'm pretty excited about that. It doesn't take as much work, like, you know, catch myself, or, you know, I'll be a certain way with somebody, and I try to really notice it, and, you know, like, oh shit, you know, I didn't really mean to be like that, like, you know, and focus on how my behaviors are affecting other people. So yeah, it sucks that it took me to 40 to figure this stuff out, but everything happens for a reason, and there's always a lesson.
Always. It's better than 45 or 50 or 60 or never. Some people
Right.
never figure it out. And I don't know. All I do know is dealing with emotions for me is very difficult, even now. And I had like defense mechanisms that I would put up, like anger, like throw shit, like break shit, like, and I see them building up sometimes, and it's my job to take them and like almost like think about what I'm about to do before I do it. Take a second, and God bless my girlfriend's heart for dealing with me sometimes, because I sometimes act like a damn 10-year-old, but I think it's just part of it, and it's about having people in your life that understand that you're working on it and can build you up too. I mean, a big part of what Ray was talking about too was, she said the happy moments are sometimes easier to deal with, and for a while the happy moments for me were hard to deal with, because that's also when I used to use, when I was happy, because I didn't know how to handle the happiness. And I felt like I had to self-sabotage because I felt too good about it. And I was like, I don't deserve this feeling of happiness because of the shit I've done or whatever may have you. But I can say today that when I sometimes I get so happy I even start crying because I just start embracing it. And that's the best feeling in the entire world, is just to be so happy you're crying. And that's one thing that this like safe place of Racing for Recovery has taught me, is just to feel what you're feeling. Embrace it, and yeah, just embrace the feelings and deal with them in positive manners. That's what I've learned here. And Bob, keep coming around, keep asking questions, keep talking, keep doing what you're doing, and hey, you'll learn something from us, and we'll learn something from you. So thank you. And everyone else here, I think we're all really strong people for being here. There's a lot of people that aren't in this room right now that don't get help and aren't trying to find ways out of the shit we've either gone through or been put through or put ourselves through. So I think we're all one up with someone right now. So thanks for coming, everybody. I said that a little bit too early. Patrick, what you got?
Autobiography in 5 short chapters by Portia Nelson. I walk down the street, there's a deep hole in the sidewalk, I fall in. I'm lost, I'm hopeless, it isn't my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. I walk down the same street, there's a deep hole in the sidewalk, I pretend I don't see it, I fall in again. I can't believe I'm in the same place, but it isn't my fault. It takes a long time to get out. I walk down the same street, there's a deep hole in the sidewalk, I see it, it's there, I still fall in, it's ahead. My eyes are open, I know where I am, it is my fault. I get out immediately. I walk down the same street, there's a deep hole in the sidewalk, I walk around it. I walk down the street.
Thanks for coming, everyone.
Turn your boats up